they know they're the only team that's really playing Churnwalker extensively, so they can leave that pick open and probably feel pretty confident that Hammers are not going to be taking that for themselves. So even though we've normally see TSM going for that one, they figure they have a better chance if they take the two most picked captains right now off the board and force Hammers onto something else.
We'll see what that is that Hammers decide to go with in the end, but TSM have to pick up another hero for themselves first, and we'll see where they want to go with this.
I'm interested to see what Bestchuck is going to choose this time around. Even, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they saved their carry pick for the last pick so that they're able to counter the entire composition with that pick for Bestchuck, just to allow him to be in the best position possible to carry the game. When you have the entire composition in front of you that you're going up against, you have a much better idea of what to go for in that lane pick, but instead they go for the Adagio that he played last game and he did very well on.
Yeah, feeling very confident with that, saving the last pick for that jungle role, and to be that counter pick for Flash X this time, it seems. So a bit more pressure going onto his shoulders, but he is no stranger to having that sort of pressure on his shoulders at this point in his career. The Hammers need to go ahead and find themselves something that they feel like will be able to deal with this Adagio. Typically, it's something with some form of crowd control, but it is going to be the Alpha. I've been waiting all day for an Alpha to get picked up. Finally, it will be coming through in status. This fits his playstyle so well, too.
I agree. It really does fit his playstyle. What I would like to see here is actually the last, because Adagio is not a very mobile hero, and you can land your MPLs fairly easily on him. Besides that, Kythian walls work really well, both against Adagio and Arden, since you can shut down the gauntlet usage. If you see it coming, if you can expect it, you can position yourself in a way to Kythian wall Arden into a wall to stun him and deny him the ultimate. So I would really like it when it comes through.
Yeah, and there's also situations where you can set up, you know, if someone's running away from a termination protocol, you can knock them back into the explosion radius. You can, set up so many different combos, lock someone in place, and allow Alpha to then hit the easy prime directives onto them. There's an endless possibilities in terms of combos with the Lance into this composition.
Very, very true. What I would like to see TSM here pick in the jungle is something extremely aggressive. At this point, their composition already needs to get ahead early on and mid-game to try and snowball, because going up against the Black for the late game and the Alpha, Adagio is not going to have, he's not going to stand any chance, and that's exactly what the Cruel pick is going to serve here in this composition, is playing more aggressive, trying to get picks, especially through ganks, and trying to snowball early on.
And one of the things, I haven't seen it on this update, but previous updates, Krull into Alpha went in Krull's favor almost 100% of the times. Krull dominates the Alpha in the jungle. You can knock her into the reboot phase very quickly. You can smite her down when she's in the reboot phase. It takes away most of her health at the early stages, so you can get those easy, quick kills. But again, on Update 2.9, I have yet to see this matchup just yet, so this will be really interesting.
Yeah, things have definitely changed up coming into this update. So it feels like what you guys are saying is TSM, they have to be the ones being aggressive. They have to be making moves in this early game.
As I said, I mean, with the Adagio, you really don't stand a chance against the Black and the Alpha late game, because they're going to be able to dive on you and not allow you to do anything in team fights. So TSM really needs to step it up early game.
All right, well, it's time to get into the final game of the broadcast. It's one apiece between these two teams. Hashtag Vainglory8 to let us know whether you think it's going to be Hammers or TSM. It's time to pass it back over to the Source and Jaws for our final game of the day.
Thank you very much, guys. Final game, here we go on the cards. Hammers versus TSM. Both up one apiece right now, Source. And this time we're seeing Hammers with a bit more of a we're just going to go all-in comp rather than sit back, poke a little bit. We'll see how this one works out for them coming up against the Cruel that Flash X is piloting in the jungle.
Pull back the periscope and batten down the hatches. Hammers are ready to dive. TSM, on the other hand, they've managed to get the Cruel, so we've seen the Rhyme and the Cruel make it through the bans, and Hammer's going with a deep jungle invade, gonna start this off very early, and starting all over, he might be in a little bit of trouble as all of TSM are starting to collapse onto this play. Alpha maybe getting free farm. I think starting all over is in some serious trouble.
He does get a Treant though, so at least he's got that healing there, but Chicken is going to be able to get the Impale over the wall away from Flash X for the time being. They might just be okay if they can get a couple more feet. EU Treant just comes up big, roots two members of TSM, and they make it out nice and safe.
Yeah, and this is dangerous. Status is now here with that level 2. Although TSM feel fairly confident they can bully him out, it will only be the one camp steal away, but this is going to slow down Flash X on this one. And it's going to be a little while before we see him setting up his ganks. And it also kind of protects Status from being early jungle invaded for a while, at least a minute or two.
There EU Treants, they're really starting to invade North America. It's only a matter of time before we get EU Crystal Sentries as well. That 1v3 the fights, because no one's paying attention to them. No Simple Impale from Chicken, but this time starting all over. Starting all over is at the range disadvantage this time around. With that minion candy popped once again. Tactic all too used to starting all over should be against these melee laners. It's extremely important getting this early shove, and with Best Chuck doing just that, it's extremely hard for the starting all over right now to farm.
Yeah, and because they're pressuring up so much in the lane, Alpha is okay in the early, just at this moment in the early game in terms of initial dive damage, but it's going to be difficult for them to get on the Best Chuck, at least, at this point in the game. So this leaves Kroll to be able to kind of free farm, and Best Chuck gets, a decent amount of pressure, clears up some minions, is able to back, and is this actually, yeah, so he's going to be going into his alternating current first, and start building up the CP Adagio.
Alright, okay, so Flash X is obviously going the weapon power route. And yeah, alternating current first item for Best Chuck. Mixing it up this time around. So Flash X, when he hits that level 6 mark, and like Tasty was saying, more often than not, was able to win out against this Alpha in the early game. On this new patch, he's not so sure, so we're going to have to see that in a couple of minutes, because they're going to be butting heads. Status has been all over Flash X's jungle, at least the front portion of it, mind you, because he's taken away 2 of those Elder Treants already.
Yeah, the early jungle invade value that Hammers were able to get, it moved TSM around the board a bit. They weren't able to set up their initial jungle pathing. Now the minion candy has been popped for Hammers. They'll be able to get a little bit of a push here, clear things out a bit, and give starting some space. And the fight now begins between the two junglers.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to outsmite Flash X. Status is getting chased up here. That smite's available in the next couple of seconds as well. Status is in a whole lot of trouble. Chicken is just chasing up though, and Status might be okay if he just dips this bush. Yep, Flash X is going to be there. He's going to look for the turret dive though. Oh, Status almost falling. He's going to put the flask in the meantime just to stay alive. Nice double impale from Chicken to stop TSM advancing even more.
Yeah, meanwhile, we had starting fighting it out with Best Chuck, and Best Chuck managed to batter back the assault from starting. And starting actually started to get very low. Good impale, but there's enough backup from Lucky Bread, who's now on the Arden. So we saw 2 games of Churnwalker, and now an Arden game. Lucky Bread, it's not that crazy to be able to play the Arden. The question is will he be able to land the gauntlets that they need and set up massive team fights, because the engage from the side of TSM is pretty much all on Flash X. He's going to need some backup from Lucky Red to really make things happen, as I don't see the members of Harvard Hammer standing around and really allowing for TSM to dictate the pace of the game as they invade one more time.
Yeah, some like to set the pace. They are doing, or at least trying to do, just that. Flash X is farming up a Storm, does have Tension Bow, and is going to be hitting at level 6 rather soon. In fact, should be off that camp. Yes, it is. Level 6 now online for Flash X. Only slightly ahead of Status, his counterpart on the Alpha. So that From Hell's Heart now being available. We'll see if they just want to pull the trigger fairly instantly. Because if they do manage to catch out starting all over without the ultimate for starting all over, he's going to be more and more vulnerable in these early stages of the game. However, with TSM rotating towards the item shop, they at least get a buy-in beforehand. But Status, that does give him a little bit of time, and does mean he hits level 6 just about on the mark.
Alright, so TSM making their way back up into the lane. Pretty much all of their engage is off the back of Flash X until that gauntlet comes in. And Starting Level is actually already back, so they will not find him. And now maybe TSM set up a little bit of a siege, get this minion wave pushed up, and put some more pressure onto the tower that they got off of that first minion candy pretty early on. Starting Level is now back, and the damage is there for TSM. Alphas hasn't shown up yet, so TSM might be able to gain a big advantage for all the members of the Hammers are there.
Yeah, Best Chuck has alternating current as well. Status has just made his way back to the lane. I can imagine that tilts some people actually. Status or status?
We had this debate last week.
Yeah, I can't remember which is the American version, but we'll just forget it for now. They are just burning up here. That turret's about half HP. It doesn't like TSM want to commit for this one. Nice impale onto Lucky Bread. Does manage to jump away towards Flash X using the Vanguard, so will keep himself safe for the time being. But Flash X determined to make something work here. He's still got From Hell's Heart available, starting all over. Has found blood. He smelled it, and they're just going to go in. Impale does miss. There comes the Versa Judgment. Only actually stunning up one member, but it might just be enough. Chicken falls down for first blood. Once again, TSM secure it, but Lucky Bread will secure it in the end and actually trade one of their own members. Flash X falling. Hollywood Hammers at least get one of themselves on the board.
Yeah, always have to be worried about the alpha getting the infinite reboot off, and that kind of forces TSM to play a little bit more conservatively than it looked like they wanted to. They do manage to get off first initial kill, but now they are pressured out, and another Treant is stolen by Status. He will walk away with even more of Flash X's gold, and there wasn't an initial from Hell's Heart. It wasn't thrown out there to kind of set up the initial play. Flash X held it for a very long time and used it in the middle of the fight to help them secure the kill onto Chicken. I think they kind of need to start jumping the opposing team. They've got the gauntlet. Really, just maybe the counter dive is what it's going to take from TSM, because they got a decent amount of damage onto the tower. They set up an OK siege and push, and Flash X is in the middle of the team.
Oh, he's found Status. He's going to chase him down. Stat's in a lot of trouble now. Even the From Hell's Heart now being available. That smite's going to be pretty big. He does use it for the immediate stun. It's going to leap towards him. Crystal Sentry is going to be there. Didn't quite get the smite off, so we'll need to do that if he wants to get the health back. In fact, that's not going to happen, and that's a complete turnaround. They actually just pick him off. Flash X going way too over-aggressive and goes down.
It would have been good if TSM had been there to be able to rotate, but Chicken shows up, lays in the crowd control, and forces out the gauntlet from Lucky Bread. So TSM, they make a little bit of an over-aggressive play. Maybe that was Flash X not understanding the limits of the tool, at least up against this composition or his position in the game so far. It's going to cost them a kill and a turret.
Third game in a row this has happened where Hammers have taken the first turret of the game, and TSM have always secured first blood as well. Double impale. Status is going to jump on Lucky Bread, but right now with that aftershock he's doing a whole lot of work, but he has to get his second item online to do a lot more damage, to put it that way. That's an easier way of putting it. Now Best Chuck is working towards his second item as well, and right now Flash X has just picked up the Alice Pauldron just to stop a lot of that damage coming out from Starting All Over, who has got a breaking point and an infusion on board. Hollywood Hammers, they always seem to take control of the early game, but TSM, the decision making and late game team fighting, that's where they really do shine.
It is dangerous though for TSM. That weapon power Black Feather can do massive damage. It can carry team fights single-handedly if in the right position and the right situations occur. And it's gonna be a challenge for the side of TSM to find these initial team fights because Chicken just won't let them. And TSM have to be worried. They are still not fully secured in their lead in terms of standings here in Split 2. They need to continue to win if they want to guarantee themselves that spot to go to the World Championship. Hollywood Hammers is a good team, and it seems as if all of these, lower-seeded teams, they may not be able to finish the games off, but they can definitely make these upper-seeded teams bleed, and TSM, without having Von C, might just be vulnerable enough for Hammers to take the upset win.
Yeah, it feels like they've lost a limb, lost a sail to their ship in the roaring ocean that is this best of three. Hollywood Hammers right now, they're still in a commanding position, got a lot of vision as well around TSM's jungle. TSM have just been wandering around this small section for the past couple of minutes or so. Hammers have been taking their fronts over and over again, and you're going to be able to see it in the level leads that they're going to be able to acquire here as well. Starting All Over is now just taking lane priority. No prioritization on this gold miner just yet, however. And Flash X, he's not made any risky maneuvers. Seems like TSM right now are a little bit too scared to go for an all-in engagement. Or at least right now, I'll have to eat my words. There's going to be impaled, does land, but Status already actually popping. That massive infinite reboot does go down into it. Not much damage actually went out, and Flash X actually falls into the start off with. Lucky Bread to ultimate didn't really do all too much at the beginning of that fight, but Best Chuck and A will be able at least to trade that 1-for-1 as Starting All Over takes turret aggro and ends up going down.
Yeah, they got the initial setup on the side of TSM, but the focus targeting was on the starting. They're terrified of the damage he can output, and that allows their Status to get through the infinite reboot. They almost killed him as well, so we're starting to see the damage come out from Best Chuck's alternating Kurt and Dragon's Eye, possibly as more damage comes in. The Broken Myth gets finished up and they are able to cut through some of those defenses, maybe Bestchuck can just carry the rest of the team. But they're going to need better angled engagements. Flash X is taking a lot of these fights head on. He's not coming in from odd angles. He's not using the value of his passive. He's not able to get off, you know, that awesome boomerang from Hell's Heart combo off of a Dead Man's Rush. He needs to set up some of those plays to open up the composition of Hammers, who are playing as a really good, solid, condensed unit. They're making it difficult for any of the members of TSM to catch one person out on Hammers.
Well, Status has had one big ultimate thus far, but with that Aftershock on board as well as a second damage item, this is going to start to stack up if he can keep alive in the team fights long enough. With the Dragon's Eye, this is a big boost in power for him coming up against Flash X, who's only got a little bit of shielding on his side. Now, is he going to be able to make a proactive play? Because right now, Hammers, like I mentioned just a couple of seconds ago, they've got so much vision down, and know where Flash X is just permanently. It seems impossible for him to do anything. Speaking about impossible, just getting impaled and rooted against the wall, and now they're going to jump straight onto Bestchuck. The gauntlet does come down, keep him alive for the time being. Alice Poultron as well is going to ripple through Hammers, but it doesn't seem to matter. Status is going to be able to take down Bestchuck on air, and Flash X falls as well, and there goes Lucky Bread. Termination Protocol, not even needed, as Prime Directive was followed up and takes the kill. Hollywood Hammers find the ace.
Starting all over, gets past the front line, is able to put so much pressure onto Bestchuck, and Bestchuck couldn't fully stack up that Dragon's Eye. We saw how much damage he did in the previous fight, where Starting all over dived a little too far under the tower, and it was that last fadeaway auto attack that allowed Bestchuck to pick up that kill. But this time, they managed to get onto their target. Des talked about how the Adagio just isn't going to be able to get away from the Alpha and the Black Feather, and we saw it there.
Let's jump in to look at this replay here. What exactly happened?
Well, just so much pressure comes out from Starting all over. He chases out the Adagio. He starts to get off the Verse of Judgment, but instantly Alpha comes in, puts down some more pressure. And Flash X, again, is just seen at the start of that fight. He's not getting the engagements from out of vision. He's always being the first one to be engaged on. It all opened up with one impale from Chicken. And Chicken just been able to keep his eye on the Flash X. I think Flash X needs to surprise his opponents, and they also need to double combo in the Gauntlet and the From Hell's Heart. That needs to be there. It puts pressure onto this diving front line of Hollywood Hammers, and it creates space for Bestchuck to be able to start setting up his damage.
Well, talking about creating space, Echo now online for Lucky Bread. So double gauntlet is available for them. Now, one thing that Flash X hasn't been doing, and you'll see a lot of EU teams do it, is as soon as that Kroll hits level 6 or is about to hit it, he'll sit in that top brush in the lane, just time and time again. I distinctly remember Fnatic doing exactly that when they pick up a Kroll, and just throwing ultimate out on cooldown, throw Hell's Heart out time and time again. That early to mid-game advantage that Kroll does have with his high impact ultimate and the sustain he gets from his smite has almost disappeared now. And now we've got Hammers who've just taken the gold mine. We're sitting at almost a 5,000 gold lead. They're even actually going for the Crystal Century. One would say they're a little bit overextended, but they're just going to be able to take that right under the noses of TSM, who haven't even cracked the first turret, or at least they're trying to now. And yet again, I have to eat my words here, Source. They're just going to take it. Jax moving forward though, and that will be Hammers trying to start the engagement. A gauntlet does come out, and that will mean the Echo is now available for another gauntlet if necessary. However, Bestchuck on the back line still trying to kite back. That termination protocol was big, but it didn't actually hit anybody. Another impale does land on the Bestchuck, and they're still trying to take him down. His Black Feather is sticking like glue onto the back line, and Bestchuck ends up falling, and now they only have to deal with Flash X. A nice two-man Githian wall will find them. Prime Directive doesn't quite follow it up, and that smite will end up just healing Flash X, but it's not going to be enough, as Lucky Bread had to exit the fight. Hammers find 2, and with 15 minutes on the clock, Kraken is now on the board.
Despite a really good gauntlet that gave all of TSM the ability to position and to kite, we saw Bestchuck almost managed to make it out of there alive, but the Verse of Judgment was cancelled. That damage didn't come out, and that's 2-3 seconds where Bestchuck isn't outputting damage. He's going to end up dropping a lot of those stacks, which is kind of an issue when you're playing this Crystal Power Adagio. The moment you start using that ultimate for that stun and that damage, you stop gaining all of that auto attack value. And so because of that, well, because it got canceled out by a great Kithian wall from Chicken, TSM lose out on a huge amount of damage, and Flash X is just being kind of ignored. He doesn't have the breaking point yet, although he is working on it. And until that comes through, Status is just going to be able to output damage and get off value from the Termination Protocol, because Flash X isn't pressuring him. Because normally you would expect the Coral to finish off the Alpha if given the opportunity. There's more than enough auto attack damage that comes up from Best Chuck NA if he's got a little bit of backup from Flash X. So getting that breaking point online is going to be important for them, but they may not get enough time to do that.
Well, Hammer's now going to start opening up this base. They're going to aggressively push onto TSM. Lucky Bread's down to about 2/3 HP. Not too much of a fuss for an Arden. That Echo is going to be available in 5 seconds as well. So double Gauntlet territory is approaching, but starting all over. Wants to end it and wants to end it now here, Source. Gauntlet's now available. He does put it down. It only stuns Chicken, though. That's going to be the problem. There comes the Termination Protocol straight onto the back line. Burst Judgment comes out. It's going to do a massive amount of damage, but it doesn't stop Hammers yet. That Kraken is still half HP, still waiting on the base. Best Chuck is already down, and now Flash X is just running back to the base in terror as that Kraken is still knocking on the doors. This is going to be it right here, Swords, if they don't do something about it. Flash X doesn't have ultimate available, and right now, Status and Starting All Over are just wailing away on the Crystal. They're going to take it down, and that will be Hammers taking the series 2-1.
Amazing play coming out of Hammers to be able to bring down TSM. Yes, they got them on what is a pretty off week for them. They don't have Von C. They're forced to make some changes, but TSM still showed up. They still brought a lot of that TSM flair, team fighting, and decision making, and Hammers were able to battle through it with some good drafts and some good play.
What an incredible turnaround from Hammers. It looked like it was going TSM's way in the first couple of games. Hammers sent the entire series 2-1. Maybe that was TSM's crutch that they were leaning on. Von C not being there. Lucky Bread performed, but not well enough.